Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is your boy. Welcome to a video I have been planning for a long time, the top 10 list, and yes, I do have notes for this. So without further ado, I'm on the ice, and let's get right into the video.
I'll never do this again, but babe, I'm falling in. But babe, I'm falling in.
Alright, everybody, so welcome to the top 10 list, my top 10 favorite songs of the year, plus honorable mentions, of course. I just want to start off by saying that this is going to be a longer video, so if you want to find like where I put certain songs, there will be timestamps in the comments, so be sure about that. And some more premise, how I rated my favorite songs pretty much. I graded them based on flow, lyrics, and just overall side notes. And for the songs in the top 10 exclusively that are just individual tracks, I did rate my favorite bar for pretty much all of them. Some I didn't, but and for my top 10, I'm gonna tell you my favorite song off of like an album or EP, or just the track in general, and play some of it and kind of just jam out here on the ice, you know what I mean? So all that's all out of the way, let's get right into it. At number 10, you know what I'm saying, we got LLORON by CRUCIFYX. So my favorite track off of that one is Operate, so let's get right into that one.
Pop a couple tablets, got me sleeping with a KiD. Pop a couple legs, just feeling like a fucking slug. Don't know what you're saying, no, I don't know what the fuck.
I also should put this in here for albums and EPs. I pretty much rated every song and then took the mean. Lyrically, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it is a pretty good lyrically overall. And for flow, I gave it an 8.5. I really like songs like Lost and Operate. Warfare, I do like it just slightly less, but overall it is still pretty good. Some side notes on this one, it's a perfect vibe for just chilling, I think, but it also mixed in the hard elements like Warfare, and it is kind of a predecessor to tracks that CRUCIFYX does, like Venom, his new one. So yeah, there's my number 10 spot. Let's get going with number 9. So at the number 9 spot, we have Ask Me About My Day by my good homie Zabawa. Here it is.
Okay, I wake up in the morning with a smile up on my face, cause the bitches always hate, and I know I can't relate.
Lyrically, I think the variation in lyrics from his other tunes are kind of, I don't really know. There's not much variation, so I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. It might be a little harsh grade, but I still think it is a good song. Flow wise, I think it definitely makes up for the loss in lyrics, which is why I gave it a 9 out of 10. My favorite bar from this, it's, so I grab my little pick and I play my little tune with my bong up in my hand, cause I'm the highest in the room. I love that bar a lot. Some side notes I have, the instrumental is definitely one of the most captivating things about this track, and Zabawa does a great job of playing on the instrumental as well, making references, like I said in my favorite bar, like about grabbing my little pick and playing my little tune. I like that, and it's a good tune. I think when I first heard it, it's a good tune to, as the first bar refers to, wake up in the morning and feel good to, you know? So moving along, let's get into the number 8 spot. So at number 8, I have, drum roll, Fitness Gram Pacer Test by none other than my ex-arch nemesis, Baby G.O.A.T. Let's run it.
Can someone say how he smiles, but he is the one of this game. He's thinking a heart, I give him my heart. You really got public hurt. The flows have been popping like most of your content. A room in the hell with the bars. You wanna fight for it, so you to drive it. Funny, cause in your life you gotta drive it for.
Yeah, you can tell probably from me just trapping out there that I really like that song a lot. Lyrically, I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. I don't think that could have really been done any better, in my opinion. And flow wise, I just had to deduct a little bit because it is G.O.A.T on his typical flow. So an 8.5 out of 10, I don't think that's a bad grade. I have 2 favorite bars for this one because, you know, it is very good lyrically. So first is, can someone say how he smiles, but he is not running the game. The first bar, I love that. I love that meaning and everything. And yeah, it's a great play on his name. And my second favorite one is made a song called Crossroads, but you still couldn't turn the battle around. I love that bar. So some side notes I have on this one, to make for G.O.A.T, is to make a 4-minute diss with nearly pure disses, as the idea is actually incredible. When I was making Melting Point, I had like a hard time coming up with like 2 minutes, even 2 minutes of straight disses. So to just do 4 minutes front to back of straight disses, I think that's actually incredible. Great job on G.O.A.T's part there. And another thing I think is the beat. The beat works surprisingly well with G.O.A.T's typical flow, and that makes it all the more enjoyable. Good wordplay ideas, like the bar spelling out miles. I like that. And overall, it's just a well-rounded track. It packs a punch, and probably is my favorite all-time tune by Baby G.O.A.T. So there's Fitness Grand Pacer Test. Let's move on to number 7. All right, at my number 7 spot, I have Lil Damo by Lil Damo.
On that hoe with off-white clothes, and I got this go like fuck 3 more on a brand new sofa. I don't know why.
Again, I really love this song. Lyrically, he sticks to the same subject, so I gave it a 7 out of 10. Easily makes up for that in the flow, in that I gave that one a 9.5 out of 10. One of my best flow ratings for my list overall. And another thing I just want to add in here, it doesn't matter where the song is on my list. I'm gonna rate it how I feel like it is, and just my favorites that I listen to more often are gonna be higher up. So my favorite bar from this one is the one where it comes back in after the little melodic part, and that's I focus my energy, smoking indefinitely. I love that. I know the meaning behind that one too. Some side notes on this one. This is arguably proof that Lil Damo isn't just repetitive with his flows, as you hear on many of his songs, and he can actually expand in his creativity aspects. And just a final thing, I think the dark atmosphere of the beat and his voice, they just make for a really great tune. So there's my number 7, Lil Damo by Lil Damo. Let's move on to number 6. So at the number 6 spot, I have an album, which is High Temps by my good fella Zabawa, and one of my favorite songs I'll be playing on here is Repeat.
I mean, times just for the ones in the back. Don't have no plan, just attack. Strong, fuck life, forget all the past. No.
Okay, so this was an album, so I took the mean again. Lyrically, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. I think he definitely does have some creativity on this one. Some side notes here. I think it is just truly a stellar project from Zabawa. It's organized really well for an album, in that each track pretty much captures the idea of high temps properly, and I really think that for an album it's great to focus on that, just focusing on the key idea instead of spreading stuff out and then just compiling it. Songs like What We Know and the Riot remix remind us that Zabawa is capable of spitting about the realness of things, which he has done before on previous tracks. Like I think Running Too Fast would be one of my best examples for that. And then on the flip side of that, Goddamn and High Temps showcase the heavy screamo side from the Zabawa project, first introduced in tracks like Burn, which was off of his, I believe it was a previous album, but I'm not entirely certain. And like I said, my favorite song is Repeat, or Between House of Pain, not just because I'm on it, but you know. All right, so that was number 6, High Temps by Zabawa. Let's move on to the number 5 spot. So at my number 5 spot, I have Introduction EP by Yungsta Eggy. Many of you know what my favorite track is on this one, so let's run it.
We move like cocaine, then we move up with a dope. Go for medicine, cause we study move and blow. Oh shit, motherfucker, wanna knock me on my back, pussy boy, yeah.
So yeah, the Introduction EP by Yungsta Eggy. You just heard my favorite song, which is Fiesta, the third track on the EP. Lyrically, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Eggy is a true lyricist. I don't care what the haters gotta say about that one. And flow wise, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think that's a pretty solid rating, as It was 4 tracks graded into one main. I think it's arguably a breakthrough project to Eggy's ability. He definitely expanded on like the audience growth and just growth in general based around the introduction EP. I think it was a great starting point kind of thing to where he is right now. Back to that point, it's a literal introduction to the year for Eggy, the year that he's had with tracks like the Bo-Rat remix, Plays, Danger, Fiesta 2, and more. And yeah, that was the number 5 on my list, introduction EP by Yungsta Eggy. I love that project. So shout out Yungsta Eggy, by the way. He's one of my good homies. He always comments even on my videos. So shout out Yungsta Eggy. Let's move on to the number 4 spot. All right, at number 4 we have my favorite J Legend track, Draco.
If he run up on me, I'ma pop him like a Draco. The boy a fool, man, I know he must be joking.
All right, so Draco by J Legend. I love that song. Lyrically, I gave it a 6 out of 10. Not much variability from his other tunes. And I just wanted to, say that Jay's lyricism is kind of actually non-existent. It's 0, but I had to. I'm playing. But I definitely think it makes up for it in terms of flow, as I gave it a 9.5 out of 10 on the flow side. Some side notes on this one. It's my personal favorite by J Legend, as I mentioned before. The verses are rather typical in the style and the lyrics for Jay, but the man can make anything golden with his ability to create such good hooks. And yeah, that's my number 4 spot, Draco by J Legend. Before we get into the top 3, I want to just throw in my honorable mentions. So number 5 on my honorable mentions list, I have Crash and Burn by Sadface Ethan. I gave it a 7 out of 10 for lyrics and an 8 out of 10 for flow. Side notes, many beats are like underwritten by the vocal. I don't know, that's just a side note there. And it's it has more of a rock ambience, which I have great appreciation for. My favorite song is either Screw This or On My Own. So number 4 on my honorable mentions list, I have The Kids Next Door by XoMaxRaz, XoSaj, and my boy KiD Buggin. Lyrically, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10, typical for lyrics. And flow, I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Some side notes I have, the lyrics are a little generic. The flow is stellar, and that is an understatement. And this was my summer song. I listened to this a lot in the summer. Just the final point, really great transition between the 3 artists, makes it for a really good track. At my number 3 spot for honorable mentions, I have Hateful by J Legend. I gave it a similar grade for lyric and flow work, an 8 for each. Some side notes, I have the hook is enough to captivate a listener to want to listen to more. Really great job there. And it's a more relatable track among the communities than most, talking about the female struggle and the depression. And great track by J Legend. Hateful, one of my favorites. At my number 2 spot for honorable mentions, I have Wish You Well by an artist I collaborated with, Robbie Mack. Lyrically, I gave it an 8 out of 10, and flow-wise, a 9 out of 10. Something I really like about this song is that it is a heartbreak song, but without the depressing beat. Those are kind of rare, And I think Robbie Mack, he sounds like he was meant for this beat. And I think it's just a staple track thus far in his musical career, gaining a lot of views, and it's just a really good song overall. My number 1 for honorable mentions is the Bo-Rat remix by Yungsta Eggy. Lyrically, a 9.5 out of 10. Wow, the lyrics in there. And flow-wise, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Some side notes, the beat's introduction captures listeners like myself, like immediately. I really like that beat. And the wordplay in this song is really nice and makes every bar segment worth interpreting, which I find myself going back and doing a lot, just interpreting bar by bar, and I really enjoyed the Bo-Rat remix. And because it's not a top 10 song, but I'm gonna still give you my favorite bar from the song, and that is, everybody talks stuff but won't back it in the booth. I have been able to imagine a lot of different meanings for that, so I really like that. great job. Those are my honorable mentions. Let's get into the top 3. At number 3, we have an album by D-Moné. Although I don't exactly know D-Moné, I know Lil Damo and Pressed fairly well, and he's in their same community, which I guess I can kind of in a little bit. But yes, Loser by D-Moné, a 14-track album. Here's one of my favorites. It's called Stars.
Hit the hay, I ain't coming back home. I really wanna love you, but I won't, I really wish you hit me on my phone.
This, alright, I don't know if you guys can see this, but this project alone took up an entire page. I had to go find the mean for 14 different songs. So lyrically, I came up with a grade of 8 out of 10, and for flow, 9 out of 10. Man, I do love the flows on this song, or on this album. Some side notes I have about this. It is really a nostalgic album for me, which I think puts it higher than some other tracks, because this came out in I think on Valentine's Day, so which was only like a month before the shutdown, and trust me, I was listening to this whole thing for that entire period. Yeah, it just really brings back some good memories for me. Another key side note here, D-Moné's ability to play on small details and beats, I think is just phenomenal. I really do encourage anybody watching the video to go check that album out. It's on SoundCloud. The link for it will be in the description. Like, back to what I said about high temps, the album does a terrific job of staying on topic, which with 14 songs I imagine is definitely not easy. The majority of hook verse hook pattern songs with the melodic elements kind of reminds me of more of a pop album as well, but really I think does a great job in the rap aspect as well. And as the description on the SoundCloud says, 1 year later, it is easy to see that D-Moné truly aimed for perfection on this one, and the execution was definitely very close in my opinion. And just a thing here, I feel as though a lot of artists could really take notes of the ideas, flows, hooks, and more that make up something of such a high caliber. And I don't mean that just saying like, oh, you're all bad, take notes of this one. I myself am definitely going to take notes of this, and I just think this is really a great project in my opinion. So that was my number 3 spot, Loser by D-Moné. Let's move on to number 2. So at number 2 we have by my boy Sadface Ethan. This one's called Trust Issues.
I got trust issues, cause it was me that you misused. I remember back when I would miss you, I missed you.
Lyrically, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. He focuses mostly on the same subjects as in many of his other tunes. Flow, this is for flow, it's got a 10 out of 10 by me. I really like the flow on this one. I personally don't think, when I was kind of rating, I thought about how I was gonna rate flow, and I think a key thing for it, for me, was if it could be done better, I think I would have given it a lower grade. But if I absolutely don't think anything could have been better on the beat used, 10 out of 10, which is why this one gets a 10 out of 10. Some side notes I have here. It's truly one of my favorites, and still is since my first listen. It's a defining song as we see the transformation in style from the more rap heavy side of Sour to the more heartfelt tracks of Sadface Ethan. And this song will remain relevant to me for a while, as it probably will for many people, as it has such a high listenability, and I think it's just really great. And I am making this video after Doomsday came out. That probably would have been on this list, but I think Ethan's just dropping stuff a little bit too fast for me to not necessarily keep up, but like to actually get the feel for. So Doomsday probably would have made the list, but Trust Issues, number 2, still such an amazing track. At number 1, we have what is my favorite track. I mean, I just discovered this about 2 months ago, but it's just, as the title says, wow. And it is Wow by Zabawa and KiD Buggin. Let's give it a listen.
Like wow, huh? Feel the vibrations in the songs to the ground, huh? Why you sleeping on the swing, little bitch? I'm not a couch, huh? Even though my shoes, they be costing more than all my clothes. Why you tryna flex when that chain came from the dollar store. Huh? Hey, yo, from the dollar store.
All right, now you know why I really like this song. Lyrically, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I think this is just different for both of them. It's just wow, as the title says, wow. All right, and for flow, I gave it a 10 out of 10, a perfect grade yet again. So good. It is such a good track. Some side notes I have: don't let the hook fool you. Just that wow, you know, just that really don't let that part fool you, because what's actually packed into that track is just crazy. And I think the song just generally speaks for itself. It's really great actually. And my favorite bar from this, it's not even a diss track, and Zabawa does such a great job. My favorite bar is where he says, "Why you trying to flex when that chain came from the dollar store?" Like, it just, every single part about this song is just crazy. I love it. That's why it's number 1. So yeah, that concludes my top 10 songs made in 2020. This took about, I don't know, 3 weeks, you know, doing homework and doing the list and making other videos and doing songs, and just, it took a long time. This is 9 pages of notes. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for checking out the video. It really took a lot of time and effort on my end to do, so I really do appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below your top 3 songs. If you really want to tell me your top 10, go ahead. But top 3 I think is good from songs made this year, communities you're in. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys sometime in another really fun episode like this. So peace out, everybody. This is your boy signing off. I'll see you next time.